Instruments to which Section 89A applies. Subject to subsection 2, Section 89A applies to a check, or B, any other bill of exchange or any promissory note or other instrument, Part 1, which appears to be intended by the person creating it to enable a person to obtain payment from a banker indicated in it of the sum so mentioned. Part 2, payment of which requires the instrument to be presented. And Part 3, which but for Section 89A could not be presented otherwise than by presenting the physical instrument. Section 2. Section 89A does not apply to any banknote. Section 3. The reference in subsection 1 to the presence to the person creating an instrument is A, in the case of a bill of exchange, a reference to the drawer. B, in the case of a promissory note, a reference to the maker. Section 4. For the purpose of subsection 1(b)(i), an indication may be by code or number and need not indicate that payment is intended to be obtained from the banker. Act 89C. Banker's obligation in relation to accepting physical instruments for presentment. Provision of an electronic image of an instrument does not constitute presentment of the instrument under Section 89A if the arrangements between A, the banker authorized to collect payment of the instrument on behalf of a customer, and B, that customer do not permit the customer to pay in the physical instrument, but instead require an electronic image to be provided, whether to the banker or to any other person. Act 89D. Copies of instruments and evidence of payment. Section 1. The board may, by rules, make provisions of A, requiring a copy of an instrument paid as a result of presentment under Section 89A to be provided on request to the creator of the instrument by the banker who paid the instrument. B, a copy of an instrument provided in accordance with the rules to be evidence of receipt by a person identified in accordance with the rules of the sum payable by the instrument. Section 2. Rules under subsection 1A may in particular A, prescribe the manner and form in which a copy is to be provided. B, require the copy to be certified to be a true copy of the electronic image provided to the banker making the payment on presentment under Section 89A. C, provide for the copy to be accompanied by a prescription or by prescribed information. D, require any copy to be provided free of charge or permit. D, require any copy to be provided free of charge or permit charges to be made for the provision of copies in prescribed circumstances. Section 3. The reference in subsection 1A to the creator of the instrument is A. In the case of a bill of exchange, a reference to the drawer. B, in the case of promissory note, a reference to the maker. 89E, compensation in cases. Act 89E, compensation in cases of presentment by electronic means. Section 1, the board may by rules make provisions for the reasonable banker. Section 1, the board may by rules make provisions for the responsible banker to compensate any person for any loss of a kind specified by the rules which that person incurs in connection with electronic presentment or purported electronic presentment of an instrument. Section 2. In this section, electronic presentment or purported electronic presentment of an instrument includes A, presentment of an instrument to which Section 89A applies under that section. B, presentment of any other instrument by any means involving provisions of an electronic image by which it may be presented for payment. C, presentment for payment by any means involving provisions of an electronic image of an instrument that may not be presented for payment in that way. D, provision and purported presentment for payment of I, an electronic image that purports to be, but it is not an image of a physical instrument, including an image that has been altered electronically, or I2, an electronic image of an instrument which has no legal effect, or E, provision and presentment or purported presentment for payment of an electronic image which has been stolen. Section 3. In this section, the responsible banker, in relation to electronic presentment or purported electronic presentment of an instrument, means A, the banker who is authorized to collect payment of the instrument on a customer's behalf, or B, if the holder of the instrument is a banker, that banker. Section 4. In this section, A, reference to an instrument include reference to an instrument which has no legal effect, whether because it has been fraudulently altered or created, or because it has been discharged or otherwise. B, in relation to an electronic image which is not an image of a physical instrument, references to the instrument are to a purported instrument of which it purports to be an image. And C, in relation to an instrument which is not a bill, in relation to an instrument which is not a bill of exchange or promissory note, reference to the holder are to the payee or endorsee of the instrument who is in possession of it, or if it is payable to bearer, the person in possession of it. Section 5. Rules under this section may in particular make provision for A, the responsible banker to be required to pay compensation irrespective of fault. B, the amount of compensation to be reduced by virtue of anything done or any failure to act by the person to whom compensation is payable. Section 6. Nothing in this section or rules under it is to be taken to A, prevent the responsible banker claiming a contribution from any other person, or B, affect any remedy available to the responsible banker in contract or otherwise. Section 7. Except as far as rules under this section provide expressly, nothing in this section or rules under it is to be taken to affect any liability of the responsible banker which exists apart from the section. Section 7. Except for as rules under this section provide expressly, nothing in this section or rules under it is to be taken to affect any liability of the responsible banker which exists apart from this section or any such rules. 89F. Supplementary. Act 89F. Supplementary. Section 1. Rules under this part may A, include incidental, supplementary, and consequential provision. B, make transitory or transitional provisions or savings. C, make different provisions for different cases or circumstances or for different purposes. D, make provisions subject to exceptions. Section 2. For the purposes of this part, a banker collect payment of an instrument on behalf of a customer by A, receiving payment of the instrument for the customer, or B, receiving payment of the instrument for the banker, but not as holder, having I, credited the customer's account with the amount of the instrument, or I2, otherwise given value to the customer in respect of the instrument. Section 3. Section 89E(4) applies for the purposes of subsection 5 and its application to Section 89E.